So Mel Gibson and mental illness, bipolar disorder. So all type of people you come across on a day-to-day basis, and mental illness could in fact be there and you might not know. As in no issues are presented, right? When you're out on the street, we come across across a whole lifespan. Consider how many people you meet in person and all the rest that might in fact have some type of low-key mental illness or something, and yet they're not speaking on it or nothing. Could be drug issues and in recovery and all the rest. Sometimes drugs lead to mental issues. Not lead to mental illness, but it could if the mind is deteriorated by overuse of drug usage, right? Does that make sense? Like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. So yeah, bipolar, or so it's been said, has made its rounds over to a Mel Gibson. Some people, there's many of us that have in fact had family members that had this mental disorder that I'm speaking on, bipolar disorder, right? I have yet to see, I would have to be in the lab to see that sort of thing. That's not to make fun or nothing, none of that. That's not to do any of that. But I like to experiment, as in I like to see. To have something to go on to speak about something is to actually see it at face. That's why I can't live and be around breathing human beings that like to judge everything, as in they don't know and understand that even human beings have problems, and bipolar is one of those sort of things, right? You will want to speak on that, as in spread awareness, but first you will want to be able to analyze it and pick it apart by looking at it face forward, right in front of your face, which is why I say I would want to see it in a lab or something like that. Scientists experiment with even patients that want to take the time when they have drugs. That's what I mean by that, so don't get offended. When there be drugs and they switch different drugs, bipolar, they be trying out different drugs on individuals that got mental illness. They'll say, well, they'll put it out in the newspaper and all the rest. Do you want to be a patient involved with this? Part of this experimental drug method that we're doing. And people, in fact, volunteer and say, well, I'll try it just to see if the bipolar med works. Scientists are up underneath that, right? But yeah, so who doesn't feel depressed at times? And yet bipolar is one of those things. Bipolar disorder is one of those things which sends those who have it sends them in disarray because of shifting in moods, the up and downs and sporadic shifting of moods, which is the reason for medications in which I spoke on, to keep that sort of thing balanced. Is there a medicine, is it Seroquel? Because I knew a guy that was taking that Seroquel, lithium, stuff like that, right? They're having bipolar disorder to have sporadic, uncontrollable mood swings, right? Because that's all type of serotonin and all that goes with that, right? Keeping the mood stabilized and all that. The outcome in that could be sporadic money spending as well as parties. People do wild things when they're in a manic phase. Mel Gibson as well, and yet it's not always shown on TV, right? There's negativity and stigmas that goes into having a bipolar disorder. Stereotypes as well go with that sort of thing. But going back to Gibson, he has very dark fits of depression and extreme rage. Extreme rage can in fact include blackouts, which is how some people are known to kill people as it's happening and don't know it. Some of the people are in fact bipolar and don't know. The undiagnosed people, when they black out all the way and be violent, right? He tried for years to get all under control, everything. He tried to get everything under control over the years. People are guessing he's on medication and he's been calm, which is the reason why individuals have been guessing around the circle, outside of the circle. Because to say that there's a mismatch and a match in behavior, such as the change of behavior, is to ask, well, what is going on? Even in the public limelight, well, what has changed? Has that person changed circles with somebody? Has that person stopped being around negative people? Has that person been around more calmer, softer people? Has that person been around whatever? Is that person on medication? What is going on? There could be any factors in that with even Mel Gibson's behavioral change. He might have gotten rid of some team of people. You never even know. Because even people have an effect on your mood. And even more so bipolar. Very true, right? So from the outside looking in, those who guess Gibson is on drugs, not street drugs, but more so pharmaceutical medications, right? They feels that he needs to stay on medication if that's what he's taking, so things won't make a turn for the worse in the end. And they feel that way because they fear that he may go off of the people a lot of times fear many things when it comes to bipolar disorder. People have been known to get fully naked and walk down the street, right? With guns and stuff, I'm saying. Not, because see, nudity is human. Not that sort of thing, but to be shooting at people and shooting at police, and yet you're naked standing there and shooting at bystanders, is how people get killed, right? So it has to be some control met with that sort of thing. They fear he may go off his meds and not only cause damage to himself, but others as well. Bystanders, family members, secret lovers, secret friendships, secret teams of people that work for him. Anything can stand in that sort of thing. And that's not painting bipolar in a negative, so don't take it that way. And yet each bipolar individual is different, and only those individuals' friends and family would know them more than we know them. And sometimes know those people more than they know themselves, right? So Gibson even spoke on his own behalf by saying it's likely that what they fear could happen. So he basically recognized what people around him and even on the outside, with them fearing what he could do, he stepped up to the plate and took responsibility and said out his own mouth that he too feared what he could do, as an answer back to them, right? Back in 2016, Gibson automatically placed himself as an outcast after 2 of his outbursts were seen on tape. Anybody remember that? He was drunk on tequila and threw out some anti-Semitic rants, which were aimed at police officers. At a police officer. After being stopped because of being, drunk. And a drunk driving, in fact, includes suspiciousness. I had to throw the ness. To be drunk out here swerving is how you get caught by officers. And yet, with even Gibson, he didn't take too well to that in Malibu as it was happening. When I think of Malibu, I think of Malibu Barbie, and I don't know why that is. That's funny. It helps to throw some hood in there with some culture. The hood culture I just did when I said Malibu Barbie. But yeah, so after that incident, going out and drinking some tequila and drunk driving and anti-Semitics aimed at police officers, right? After that 2006 incident, 4 years later, Gibson pleaded no contest to physically abusing his ex-girlfriend, Oksana, which is and was the mother of their 1-year-old child, Lucia. I like to say Lucia. No, not with more of a C, with more of a H. Did you get it? I'm too hood for my own good, I'm trying to say. To pronounce something and you got it right yet is to take it a step further and accentuate on that sort of thing. On the playing field, right? The baby's name. The incident included Gibson being heard in a rage. So when this incident, in fact, took it there, him being physically abusive towards his ex-girlfriend, that sort of situation as it played out, He was in fact being heard in a rage or a manic type of fit, which bipolar is known to present, which can get uncontrollable, right? Uncontrolled. Him going off on the ex-girlfriend, the screaming and yelling with that, possibly breaking things all around the house and even outside. Some people smash other people's property, car windows and all, being mad. Chairs being picked up, tables being, I was gonna say table legs, but not that, but could be thrown in the air mid-air with rage. Cause see, mental illness, oftentimes people are more stronger during a mental illness fit. They become more physically stronger than, say, if they're operating normally. And many people don't know that. A man or woman that can have bipolar or schizophrenia or anything like that can become more stronger in physicality or physical form than, say, when more so than a normal person. There's something about the body, the heightened senses with that. There's a lot more with that, because see, there's even fight or flight up underneath that too. If you're in a manic fit, is to say, well, the body is gonna tap off or tap out by saying, okay, we have a threat here, so I'm gonna have to boost you up in physical form and make your body stronger, which is how people are known to damage property as it's happening. Whereas an average everyday, what society would consider normal, and yet none of us are normal, another person wouldn't, say, outside, who doesn't have mental illness, wouldn't be that strong as somebody that would have mental illness during a manic fit, enough to be breaking stuff and putting holes in stuff, putting holes in walls and flipping over cars and all that other stuff. You're more stronger. Yeah, remember I said that that's fight or flight going off in your body. It's to run away from danger is what I'm saying. And yet mental illness patients oftentimes use that to go after other people, in a sense, right? Hopefully you got that, dear viewer. So Gibson's struggles with mental illness had led to him not remembering things or his actions he's committed in the past. Interesting how friends oftentimes bring back to your awareness what you have did or done. That just has to be said, as in called out. The tapes in which I spoke on, which shows his actions, are the only thing close to his memory. Those tapes of him doing things randomly and sporadically, right, are the only things, because he blacked out. That's more likely what was taking place. The blackouts is why he didn't remember. And yet you can black out without falling asleep or falling dead or falling on the ground, blacking out. People black out while they're just wide awake, right? Not people know that, and yet there's many people that don't know that sort of thing. That's where the memory comes into play, because to have a blackout is to say, well, there's consciousness as well as unconsciousness, and yet what is met with which one is exchanging or taking places? Something must be being switched off in the mind and the brain with that, right? So Gibson admitted in a 2008 documentary called Acting Class of 1978 that he is and was a manic depressive, and explained both his highs and lows. And that's good, because that's even in public, a PSA, public service announcement, putting out to the public what you are, you being a celebrity, being a spokesperson for not only yourself, but to spread awareness to those that are in fact struggling with mental illness. That's why it's good for the celebrity to stand there and say that, present their own evidence of what they have, because that's in support of everyday people. Because if celebrities weren't there doing that, then there would still be all type of stigmas and stereotypes, as well as shunning, and people have been known to be stoned to death even back in biblical days over you or I or whoever else being different than what's considered normal. That's why it helps to have high status people standing there bringing that to light, what's going on, right? So friends wish him well on receiving the right treatment as needed. And outside of them, mental health experts shared bipolar being a mood disorder consists of extreme highs and lows, as well as sadness and depression. Manic episode fits into that, and I said that, which includes periods of impulsiveness that goes back to spending money loosely. The manic episodes include impulsiveness as well as creativity and hyperactivity. There's more to even that, as in it hasn't been fully elaborated on what bipolar is, and yet for the video to be this short, it's to say there could be somebody out there watching me that has bipolar disorder. There ain't nothing to be ashamed of, not ever. Because we as human beings living here on earth, as I say, we're all going to experience something. That's the point of being here. Who don't see? I have to run away and jump away very quickly from people that be saying, oh, well, you got to do this to get rid of that. You got to do this to get rid of that because this ain't normal and that ain't normal. Well, who's to say what's normal? You live and then you die. That's why we're here to experience. We're here to live to experience life. The good and the bad. The hopelessness and the pleasure with that. You're here to live and die. But more than anything, you're here to experience human life, which means it's going to be struggles and tragedy with that. So to be trying to change all this and change all that to fit into normalcy is a no-go. Because you're taking away from the experience of human life. Helps to be wise in the mind with that, even in years where even I ain't telling. Helps to see before I'm trying to say is what all I'm saying. Why try to constantly be fixing yourself to try to do this and this and that? I'm saying areas of improvement is good. But to have, say, something like bipolar and all this other stuff and be trying to do this or do that to change things to become normal, that's a no-go because you're taking away from everyday human experience, what you're supposed to be feeling and sensing. That's the point of why you're here once again, to be human, to experience human. Yeah, that's a goodness from my own end to yours, the viewer. Never try to fix stuff to be trying to appear all normal. That's the greatest tragedy because nothing is in fact formulated, as in there's no success in being normal. How could it be? Normal people don't take chances. So recommended for you. Shouts out to Paula. Description is right here. To add the favorites is to in fact click the plus sign. I'm sorry if I'm offending any normal people watching me, and yet I'm an artist, and yet normal people obey the law, and yet you should, right? And yet many normal people in fact don't take chances, which is why society is behind. Didn't I say that in one of my other videos, right? That's not to say to go out and break laws and all this other stuff, but if you're scared to take chances, you're more than likely one of those individuals that help to set society back in life. Does that make sense? Because even these videos is, with Discovery and everything else, just Discovery as a whole. Just imagine if there was no Discovery platform, a Discovery making you aware to what is going on around you in culture. As in there needing to be acceptance in cultures outside of your own. If no Discovery took the time to take a chance. Somebody was reckless enough from the beginning, at the top of the tier. Even before a Discovery was invented. Somebody was genius enough to say, well, we need to spread world awareness around the world that there's people outside of myself that live differently than me. Possibly live comfortably more so than me, or they live in the deep, dark depths of hell and tragedy every day. Maybe they're discriminated against, who knows, right? But somebody took the chance to even place themselves with that. And so to do that sort of thing, not be afraid to take a chance, is to help out humanity, but not only that, help to change the world. It's a greater good. Unlocked episodes. To press the play button is to in fact gain an audio-visual preview. Person of interest. To add to watch later is to click the plus sign. Each one of these in fact have a preview. You can skid through. And once again, we are on investigationdiscovery.com for you to come back and make your way through here. On last night, the last case. That, to gain more of that, is to click, as in to find out, but you're going to have to provide your provider, whoever you're subscribed to, right? Season 1, episode 5. There's more where that came from. in which I ain't telling. Unlock series. I was gonna say unlock episode. Same thing. ID Go original series. Shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda. With that, I just scrolled over his face. That's almost a Walmart rollback, and yet it's moving forward. Crime Feed News. To gain access to the Crime Feed News Yes section with that, that's a lane all its own on the outside. To gain access to that, it's a click right within here to be, yes, forwarded directed to crimefeed.com for the latest crime and all the rest. Tragedy, mayhem, mystery, mishaps with that. To receive a newsletter is to type your email address in and click next. So leave me a comment in the comment section, dear viewer. Tell me how your day was or whatever else. Whatever you like to leave it in the comment section. And I'm gone for now. I got 2 more videos to do on even that. As an ad on top. Where it's blank, the canvas, I'm saying. And I'm gone.